This is a production of PBS 39.
The series is a partnership of participating school districts and PBS 39. PBS 39 presents Scholastic Scrimmage, a weekly program featuring teams from area high schools and a contest of quick recall. Support for Scholastic Scrimmage is provided by members of PBS 39 and by Scholastic Scrimmage is underwritten by
Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated, supporting education, culture and the arts, volunteerism, human services, and civic programs. Air Products, a global company with a local commitment.
Your host for Scholastic Scrimmage is Dr. Karen Walton, Provost, DeSales University.
Welcome to the 35th year of Scholastic Scrimmage. I'm delighted to be your host. The area's top high school scholars from 33 schools compete for the honor of being the Scholastic Scrimmage champion team. At the end of the season, the two final teams will win scholarships for their schools from the Air Products Foundation. Let's meet the team from Freedom High School.
Hi, I'm Justin Silvestri. I'm a senior.
I'm Michael Fazio, and I'm a junior.
I'm Matt Hardman. I'm a senior.
I'm Uran Lin. I'm a senior.
Freedom's coach is Michael Evans. And now the team from Nazareth High School.
I'm Ryan Racely, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Dylan Noble, and I'm a junior.
I'm Dan O'Leary, and I'm a senior.
I'm Matt Vincenzi. I'm a junior.
Nazareth's coach is Aris Astorian. The judges for today's contest are Sally Campbell, retired English teacher, and Dr. Gary DeLeo, professor of physics at Lehigh University. Remember that the questions on Scholastic Scrimmage demand rapid recall of factual information and are not necessarily indicative of academic training. We understand the rules, so let's begin the contest with a toss-up in world history. The Quran, the Holy Book of Islam, is divided into 114 chapters, each of which is known as what? Surah. Chemistry. What is the name for materials that contain only one kind of matter? Freedom. Michael?
A pure substance.
It will go over to Nazareth. Dylan?
Homogeneous.
Homogeneous mean the same thing, yes. We will, our professor of physics will take either of those answers. And your bonus? Multiple choice. Which of these is not a heterogeneous material? A, sodium chloride, B, vinegar, C, air.
Air?
Buzz.
Oh, right.
It is sodium chloride. Toss-up in American literature. This writer was American-born and educated, but found America inadequate as a literary locale. After trying Paris, he settled in London and noted, quote, "I am now more at home in London than anywhere else in the world. My interest in London is chiefly that of an observer where there is most in the world to observe." End of quote. You may know him as the author of The Turn of the Screw. Name him. Henry James. Next toss-up is in algebra. A baseball team won 15 games in a 35-game season. What is the ratio of the games won to games, Freedom Matt?
3 to 4.
To games lost? Bonus. A state turnpike charges cars 6 cents for every 5 miles traveled. What is the toll for a 65-mile trip on this turnpike?
78 cents.
Matt?
78 cents.
Yes. U.S. geography. Kenai Fjords National Park is home to the Harding Ice Field, glaciers, and a rainforest. It is located on the Kenai Peninsula of Freedom Matt?
Alaska.
Bonus. Muir Glacier is part of the dramatic display of ice in Glacier Bay National Park, located near the capital city of Alaska. Name the capital city.
Juneau.
Matt?
Juneau.
Yes. Vocabulary. Andrea Lee begins a New Yorker article with the comment, quote, "I had a handbag epiphany recently at a literary luncheon in Milan," end quote. Provide a definition for epiphany. Freedom, Matt?
A sudden realization.
Fine. And your bonus. Lee continues, quote, "Young women and their mothers both wanted this bag, which was practical, modest, and eminently cool, and yet it's semaphored money. One of the first bags outside the old classics that you could find counterfeited in Hong Kong," end of quote. Provide a synonym for semaphored appropriate to this context.
Justin?
You want to go very expensive?
Semaphore is like a symbol or something.
You want to go very...
Matt?
Very expensive?
It's signaled. It's semaphored. It's signaled something. Toss up in biology, multiple choice. Certain bacteria are called cocci. Are they 1 round, 2 rod-like? Freedom, you're on?
Round.
They are round.
Good job.
Give the name of the elongated rod-shaped bacteria that are observable under a high-powered microscope.
Yeah.
Bacillus?
Yeah, I think so.
Bacillus or bacilli?
Doesn't matter.
Matt?
Bacillus?
Fine. Singular versus plural, as you were pondering. Toss up in more literature. This French writer was born Jean-Baptiste Poclat. Fascinated by the theater in 1643, he formed a stage company and took this stage name, by which he became known as the greatest of all writers of French comedy. Name him. Molière. Geometry. State the converse of the statement on the monitor, which is a square is a rectangle, and state whether the converse is true. Freedom, you're on.
A rectangle is a square, and it is false.
You are correct. And your bonus, give the inverse of the same statement, a square is a rectangle, and state whether the inverse is true or false.
Square is not a rectangle.
For 5 points each.
A square is not a rectangle.
A rectangle is not a square.
A rectangle is not a square.
A rectangle is not a square and false. And true. So,
Matt?
A rectangle is not a square and true.
The inverse is if a figure is not a square, it is not a rectangle, and it is false. Toss up in art. Pictured on the monitor is a photograph of an amphitheater. It was built between 70 and 82 CE and is the largest and most famous. Freedom, you're on.
the Colosseum.
Bonus for 5 points each. The Colosseum was begun by whom?
Augustus. Just say it.
Matt?
Augustus.
Vespasian. And second, it was finished by his son named what?
Claudius.
Matt?
Claudius.
Titus. Possible in world history. July 14, 1789 is an historic day for France. Freedom, Matt?
It's Bastille Day.
Storming of Bastille. Bonus for 5 points each. What famous events occurred on these dates? 1861 in American history.
1861.
Civil War.
Attack of Fort Sumter.
Civil War began.
Sure.
Yeah.
Matt?
The attack of Fort Sumter.
Second, 1066 in world history.
100 years war, I don't know. 100. What?
Something happened.
Yes.
Matt?
Fall of the Roman Empire.
Norman conquest of Britain. Toss up in chemistry. There are two types of pure chemical substances. One is compounds, name the other. Freedom, you're on.
Elements.
Bonus, multiple choice. Which of these procedures will allow you to distinguish an element from a compound? Is it A, heating, B, boiling, C, electrolysis?
Electrolysis.
Yeah. Electrolysis.
Electrolysis.
Matt?
Electrolysis.
Correct. Current events. What is the constitutional amendment that California voters adopted banning same-sex marriages? Freedom, Matt?
Proposition 8.
For 5 points each. The ban was also passed in what 2 other states?
Arkansas and Montana, I think.
Go for it.
Matt?
Arkansas and Montana.
Florida and Arizona. Toss up in algebra. What fraction of an hour elapses from 2:40 p.m. to 3:11 p.m.? Nazareth Ryan?
31/60ths.
Good for you. And your bonus. The Student Council of a high school has the following membership: 4 freshmen, 6 sophomores, 8 juniors, and 12 seniors. What percentage of student council members are the sophomores? Dylan?
30%.
Excuse me?
30%.
It is 20%. Toss-up in U.S. geography. Hell's Canyon is the deepest gorge in North America. In which state is Hell's Canyon located? Nazareth Ryan?
California.
Freedom? Matt?
Arizona.
Idaho. American literature. This writer of poetry, criticism, plays, and stories was also a pediatric physician. His last book of poems was called Pictures of Bruegel. He is frequently referred to by his initials, WCW. Name him. Nazareth Dillon?
Walt Whitman.
Freedom? Matt?
William Charles Wordsworth.
William Carlos Williams. It is halftime. The halftime score is Freedom 130, Nazareth 5. Plenty of time to catch up, Nazareth. In the first round, we asked the students to tell us something about themselves or about their family. So let's begin with Freedom. Justin.
My mom is an accountant for Olympus, and my dad's a manager for Verizon, and I have a little brother who's in the 1st grade named Danny.
Thank you. Michael?
My dad is a chemical engineer, and my mom's a stay-at-home mom, and I have a sister who attends Kutztown University.
Thank you, Michael. Matt?
My father owns a floral shop outside of Washington, D.C. My mother is a salesperson for ADP, and my sister is in 10th grade at Freedom, and she enjoys theater.
Thank you. You're on.
Both of my parents are electrical engineers. My mom works for IQE, and my dad works for Cyclone, which is a small company that just started up. And I also have a little sister who's in elementary school.
Are you interested in becoming an electrical engineer yourself?
Not particularly.
Nazareth, Brian?
My mother is a dental hygienist, and my father is a substitute teacher.
Thank you. Dylan?
My father is a construction worker, and my mother works in a secondhand store.
Thank you. Dan?
My father is a civil engineer, and my mom is a clerk at the Lehigh Valley Hospital.
Thank you, Matt.
I enjoy running track and cross country at Nazareth High School.
Are you running outside now? Do you run all winter?
For a little
yourself
bit.
Personally?
No, because Scholastic Scrimmage took up some of the practice time.
Good for you. Good for you.
Wise choice.
Next toss-up is in biology. What is the name for a chemical substance, such as dopamine, that transmits nerve impulses across its... Freedom, Justin?
Hormones?
Over to Nazareth. That transmits nerve impulses across a synapse. Dan?
Neurotransmitter.
And your bonus. The neurotransmitter, epinephrine, has another more common name.
Adrenaline.
What is it? Dylan?
Adrenaline.
Toss-up in world history. The U.S. moved some of the detainees taken in Afghanistan to Guantanamo Bay. Name both the war during which the U.S. Marines set up the base at Guantanamo Bay in 1898 and the country from which the U.S. has leased. Freedom, Matt?
The Spanish-American War and Cuba.
Yes, and your bonus. In 2002, whom did the Loya Jirga, or Grand Council, elect as Afghanistan's president for another 18 months?
I know.
Go ahead.
Matt?
Hamid Karzai.
Correct. Geometry. Identify the graphs of the two equations on the monitor, which are x squared plus y squared equals 25, and Freedom, you're on.
The first one is a circle, and the second one is a line.
Bonus, how many points of intersection are shared by the graphs of those equations?
2.
Matt?
2.
Correct. British literature. Expelled from Oxford for issues arising from his essay, The Necessity of Atheism, this English romantic poet eloped and married a 16-year-old despite his disapproval of marriage, as well as royalty, religion, and meat eating. You may know him as the author of Osmandius. Matt?
Wordsworth.
Nazareth? It's Shelley. U.S. history. In 1933, the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which shortened the time between elections and the swearing-in of officials, was ratified. This amendment is often referred to as what, reflecting Nazareth Dan?
The lame duck amendment.
Bonus, on February 3rd, 1913, in response to fears about the solvency of the nation, the 16th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, giving Congress the right to do what? Dylan?
To decide who will be president if there's a tie in the Electoral College.
It's to impose a federal income tax. Toss-up in chemistry. The elements are grouped into 4 major categories or classes. Name the class that contains the greatest number of elements. Nazareth Ryan?
Metals.
Bonus. Name the only metal that is liquid at room temperature. Dylan?
Mercury.
Music, multiple choice. Which of these instruments is not in the woodwind family? Is it 1 flute, 2 bassoon, 3 trombone, or 4 Nazareth Ryan?
Trombone.
Bonus. To which family do the following instruments belong? Timpani, gong, Dylan?
Percussion.
Toss up in mathematics. Given the repeating decimal on the monitor, which digit is in the 200th place to the right of the decimal point? And the decimal is 13579, 13579 with a 10. Freedom, you're on.
9.
Bonus.
Good job.
Which of the numbers on the monitor are not rational numbers? No partial credit given.
Not rational.
B and D.
B and D, yeah. B and D.
You are correct. Toss up in world geography. Surtsey is a volcanic island off the coast of the westernmost country in Europe. Name that country. Nazareth, Dylan?
Portugal.
Freedom? Matt?
Ireland.
It's Iceland. Iceland is considered part of Europe. Grammar. On your monitor is a sentence from an editorial about the dispute over the handling of Louis de Naples' casino license. Correct the 2 grammatical errors, no partial credit given. The gist of the dispute is that investigators gave a grand jury in Dauphin County evidence about the truthfulness of Mr. de Naples' testimony before the Gaming Control Board that led to his arrest. Nazareth Dan?
Truthfulness is not a word, and gaming control should not be parenthesized.
It will go over to Freedom. Matt?
Truthfulness is not a word, and gaming control should be in brackets.
We need an apostrophe after de Naples. And we have to change L-E-A-D to L-E-D. Next toss-up is a question in physics. The freezing point of water is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. How many more degrees must you travel on the same scale to reach the boiling point of water? Freedom? Matt.
180.
Bonus. Pure water is most dense at 3.98 degrees on what scale?
Kelvin?
Sure, why not?
Kelvin sound good?
Matt?
Kelvin?
It is Celsius, centigrade. Toss up in U.S. history. I guess maybe that's a chemistry question instead of physics. U.S. history. Identify any two of the following. The first Secretary of the Treasury, the first Secretary of War, the first. Freedom, Michael.
Hamilton is the first Secretary of the Treasury, and Knox is the first Secretary of War.
And the last I was going to ask was the first Attorney General in the Washington administration. That was Edmund Randolph. Your bonus. Which body unanimously chose George Washington as U.S. President in 1789, making him the only one to win the office by a unanimous vote?
Second?
Sounds right.
Or the Electoral College?
No, the second.
Or is it the Electoral College?
Was the second with the Articles of Confederation? Whatever.
Matt?
The Second Continental Congress?
Electoral College, which was one of the choices you were pondering over, but good try.
Yeah.
Toss up in mathematics. A die is thrown and a coin is tossed. What is the probability that the die shows a 5 or a 6 and the coin shows a head? Freedom, you're on.
1/6.
Bonus. Given a set with 6 elements, how many 4-element subsets does it have?
16? We had this question yesterday.
Sure.
Matt?
16?
It's 15. The combinations of 6 things taken 4 at a time. Toss up in British literature. Within the span of 6 years, this 18th century author wrote Moll Flanders, A Journal of the Plague Year, The History and Remarkable Life of Colonel Jack, Roxana, and Robinson Crusoe. Name him. Freedom, you're on.
Daniel Defoe.
Bonus, multiple choice. Which one of the above works? Moll Flanders, A Journal of the Plague Years, The History and Remarkable Life of Colonel Jack, Roxana, or Robinson Crusoe, was based on a certain life experiences of Alexander Selkirk.
Not Robinson Crusoe.
Matt?
The Plague Years?
Robinson Crusoe. Toss up in U.S. history. What document was John Quincy Adams responsible for drafting? Nazareth, Dan?
The Articles of Confederation.
Over to Freedom. Matt?
The Monroe Doctrine?
Correct. Adams also held 2 other federal offices for 5 points each. Name those offices.
President and...
He was House Representative.
He was a representative or senator?
Representative.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Matt?
He was president and he was a congressman?
Yes, he was a member of the
House of Representatives?
House of Representatives, and he was Secretary of State. So you got 5 points.
Okay.
Toss up in biology. T.H. Morgan proved that these bear individual units of heredity called genes. What are the names of these bearers? Freedom, you're on.
Chromosomes.
Multiple choice bonus. Which of the 3 meninges is the tough and inflexible outermost layer that the bonus must be answered by the captain?
So you just said? What?
Well, tough and dura mater.
Matt?
Dura mater?
Yes, you did not need my choices in the multiple choice world literature. According to the New Testament, which apostle uttered these words following the resurrection? Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hand and put my finger. Nazareth, Ryan?
Thomas.
Doubting Thomas is correct, and for 5 points each, identify these apostles. Which one was a physician?
Peter?
Dylan?
Peter?
Luke, and hence so many St. Luke's hospitals around the country, I suppose. And which one was a fisherman?
John.
Dylan?
John?
Peter. Simon Peter. Toss up in mathematics. In the diagram on the monitor, the exterior angle at B has a measure of 100 degrees. If triangle ABC is isosceles with AB equaling in length to AC, how many degrees are in angle A? Freedom, you're on.
20.
You are correct. The contest is over. The final score is Freedom 260, Nazareth 65. Thank you, Nazareth, for being with us. Freedom will be back for a second round in April when you'll meet Salisbury High School or Allentown Central Catholic High School, the winner of next week's contest. I'm Karen Walton. Thank you for being with us. Have a great day.
Support for Scholastic Scrimmage is provided by members of PBS 39 and by Scholastic Scrimmage is underwritten by
Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated, supporting education, culture and the arts, volunteerism, human services, and civic programs. Air Products, a global company with a local commitment.
Next on PBS 39.
It's a hit parade of great performances, made Grammy great by producer-songwriter David Foster. Join David.
Celine Dion, Josh Groban, Andrea Bocelli, Michael Bublé.
And more when they wow us anew in a great big Vegas review. Hitman, David Foster and Friends.
Wow.
On Great Performances.
Sunday at 7 on PBS 39.
Jack Eardley made his living building the power grid.
Yeah, when I first started, we was just supplying the power for the porch light, and now it's so much more. Flow of power, it really is the flow of information, and public TV is one of the best sources.
That's why Jack included his public television station in his will. Consider joining the community of people who want public television to span generations.
For information, call 610-984-8148.
Hi, I'm Pat Simon, President and CEO of PBS 39. We so appreciate your support, and I just wanted to take a moment to share some exciting fast facts with you. Have you been to our website lately? Our education department has over 40,000 videos and teacher lesson plans, and we're adding to that list all the time. And here's the best part, they're all available on demand. It's a secret we're excited to share. Stay tuned for more fast facts about PBS 39.
They took 20,000 camels to carry the water. Next, in the story of India, the coming of Islam and a clash of civilizations. Explore the magic of the Mughals and a teardrop on the face of time.
Monday at 9 on PBS 39.
I'm Jim Lara. On January 20, 2009, Barack Obama will be sworn in as the 44th President of the United States. Go to PBS for live coverage of the official inaugural ceremonies, followed by analysis and perspective from Mark Shields and David Brooks, as well as the NewsHour's regular panel of historians.
DTV is available now in most cities.
And the deadline to make the change to digital television is coming soon.
Make sure your TV is ready for DTV.
Visit us online or call for more information.
This program is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by to the nth degree. That's where enrollment at Northampton Community College can take your education. Northampton Community College.